Thank you.
The City of Marine City Commission meeting is called to order on Thursday, May 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Can we please have a moment of silence to send our positive thoughts and prayers to those in our community that need our support? Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bryson.
Here.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Klassen.
Here.
Commissioner Kreidler.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Here.
Mayor Kamen.
Here.
City Manager Chapman.
Here.
And Commissioner Callahan is absent.
So I need a motion to excuse Commissioner Callahan.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Klassen.
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Kamen.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Support.
Any discussion on today's agenda?
One point of interest here. On 7C, when we have communications, could we get those spelled out? The only advantage to that is when people are looking through agendas for specific things, then they won't have to go through the packet to try to find out what the communication was. We always used to spell out who sent us a communication in there, if that's possible.
I checked some previous agendas, and it was just listed as communications.
Right.
I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying I did investigate whether or not
Okay.
communications were listed out as exactly what it was, and it just said communications.
Right, because it's just a correspondence, right? I mean, it's,
It is just a correspondence.
Correct,
So
but-
in general, if we get numerous communications, we're going to list them under communications, just like when we do the consent agenda, the departmental activity reports. We don't spell out every single departmental activity report. We just put departmental activity reports. The only one that's separate is the fire department, because they are an authority. They're a separate entity.
But the communications, people send different letters, and it just makes it easier for people when they're trying to locate something. Otherwise, then they have to go in here. I know before, maybe recently they've been doing this, but I know a long time ago, we always used to spell out, if somebody sent us a letter, it was called out in the list. And it just makes it easier for people when they're trying to find something, that's all I'm saying.
Well, if they send a communication, they would know they sent a communication, so.
It's not for them, it's for the public. So if the
Obvious.
public's looking for something, and they want to know if the historic group sent a letter here, then
Then it would be under
then they'll have to look at
communications.
every one of these communications things instead of seeing historic group sent a letter. See what I'm saying? It makes it more easier it's for the public, not so much for
I'll
us.
take the suggestion under advisement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
anyone else? All right, can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Oh, discussion, all in favor? Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Public comment. Anyone is welcome to address the city commission. Please state your name, limit your comments to 5 minutes. The commission will not respond, but we will follow up as necessary. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe Moran, 710 Pleasant Street. At the last special meeting, having been denounced from the pulpit, I went back to the recording from the previous meeting, the end of April, and reviewed my comments. I addressed a comment to Mr. Alexiak about the
You're addressing me.
Okay,
I
I
just wanna
addressed
make
a
sure.
comment to Mr. Alexiak about the Planning Commission. And then I made some general comments about other comments, negative comments, purporting themselves to be seeking justice and, in my opinion, were more about vengeance. I spoke to the tone and not to any particular individual, but if it was taken that way, I apologize. Thank you. It was not intended to be personal. personal attacks or comments from this board or this podium have not ever been, are not now, and never shall be acceptable. And that should be understood by all. This is a chamber for healthy debate. One of the things I spoke to at the last general meeting was the 13 ways to kill a community. One of the ways it turns out that you kill a community is to allow healthy debate to devolve into things like he said, she said, or that's the way we've always done it. Continuing to do the same thing because that's the way you've always done it is not always the smartest thing to do. And particularly within this chamber, those people responsible for governing this city and other commissions need to be open to change. As one of the givens in life, you can ignore change and change. You can fight change and change. Or you can be open to it and accept changes, not for the sake of a change, but for the sake of doing something smarter, better, more efficiently, less expensively. So let's try to be open to that as opposed to being hidebound by this is the way we've always done it, and perhaps do a better job of what we're all doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Stacy, go ahead.
Hi, I am Stacy Bellis, 140 Gladys. I'm also the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to talk to you guys about our Summer Splash Bash event. I know that there's a lot of posters and everything out in the businesses and their windows and everything, and I'm putting a lot on Facebook too. But because this event hasn't happened in the past, this is like the actual first time, because last year it was canceled because of the weather. I'm not able to post pictures of the last event, but I am very excited about this event. We all are. It's going to be really great. Lots of fun. We have a 45-foot obstacle course water slide, lots of cool vendors. We have a dunk tank. We're hoping we have a few people that are signed up to sit in the hot seat. We're looking for a few more if anybody wants to volunteer. No? Okay. I'll reach out after. We're just really excited about it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that it's going to be a lot of fun. Sponsorships are coming in. And like I said, we have a lot of vendors. So June 25th from 12 to 4, Nautical Mile Park. Also, the Splash Cash raffle is still going. We still have lots of tickets to sell. So if anybody wants to take their chance at winning 10 grand or 1,000, there are 6 chances to win. The first prize is 10 grand. So, if you're feeling lucky, let me know. There's lots of places to get tickets. I'm not going to list them all off, but just ask. That's all. Thanks.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Andrew.
Hi there, Andrew Pacladinas, 713 West Boulevard. I just recently found out that next Thursday, I believe from 3 to 8 o'clock p.m., the Lions Club will be having an evening market, which I'm thrilled about because there's finally a market that I can actually go to after work and not miss. So I just wanted to encourage everybody to look into it and try and make their way out there if they find a chance. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. And go ahead.
Good evening, Jeff Rock, 807 Carroll Street. I got an issue with trying to get a survey done, and I was wondering if the city attorney, I think, know a little bit about what's
Yeah,
going on.
I've received your messages, I've been looking into it.
No questions about why I can't get everything that is in my file for my property. I'm lacking some permits that were issued to me to build a garage on that half a lot that was vacated supposedly by the city back in '78. And I was wondering why, if I was able to build a garage on that back then, why is it such a problem now for me to be able to get a survey to purchase the other 25 foot from my neighbor?
Okay.
I've been waiting on this survey for a couple of months now, and I need to get this done. Any answers?
Well,
Or do
Well,
I
and-
need to
Sir-
hire an attorney for this matter?
Sir, this is public comment. We're really not supposed to be going back and forth. You literally just, you know,
I know what you're looking for.
yep, and you asked him, he can address that later. This is just comment. You talking to us, we're not supposed to address you,
Doesn't,
but we will later.
thanks for your time.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Mike Hillfrank, 525 Woodward Street. I got a couple of things I'm a little bit concerned by. The first is kind of this drawing in the sand, you know, of a line, and it seems to be that this whole negativity thing is starting. People are pointing fingers and saying that the people that are quote-unquote negative are killing this community, and I don't think that's fair at all. I don't think it's fair to label the people that are just trying to look out for the majority in this town, trying to hold them accountable, promote transparency. I commend Mr. Alexak for what he does. I wish there was more people like that in the community to better represent the majority, because the things that he's concerned about, the things that Commissioner Hendrick is concerned about, that is the majority of this city. Despite a lot of you on this board believing otherwise, there's a reason why she gets the most votes every time. And it's not name recognition, that's nonsense. It's because she actually represents the people that live here. And I think the people in this city are very positive people. I think they're very generous, very charitable. Until we feel like we're not being respected, we're not being heard, then things start to sour. And I don't think that it's helpful to point a finger and blame, like you're being negative, you're killing this community. It's a bad line to use, okay? So I think instead of focusing on less on what's killing our community, we have to figure out why the negativity is happening in the first place. I don't see anybody extending a hand like, you know, let's all talk about this. Let's sit down, representatives on each side. Let's sit down and figure out why the majority in this community is so angry. Let's actually figure it out and not just sit back and it's like, oh, I don't know why they're so negative. I don't know why they're upset, okay? Because the things, I think we all want this town to move forward. We all want to progress, but the majority in this town don't want to be left behind while special interests are the ones moving forward. You know, sadly, that's pretty much how it's been. We got the blue-collar people on one side who don't have a whole lot of time for these meetings and all this stuff that goes on to come sit down, give their input. And we have, on the other side, we have special interest groups, you know, the more white-collar people, the ones that own businesses, the ones that are better financially off. And those are the people that have been representing this board for probably ever. I mean, definitely since my political time, you know, started back 2015 or so, where you have a small minority of interests that think that they know what's best for all of us, and that's not true. We actually are smart, like the blue-collar workers, the people that are the majority of this city. We are very intelligent. We know what has to happen to move the city forward. And it's just bad to sit there and choose teams and tribes and try to label people this or that. We're all neighbors here. We're all neighbors. The awkwardness that happens on this board daily, or not daily, but every time there's a meeting between the two sides is just, it's ridiculous. The whole circus that you guys put us through to try to get rid of Commissioner Hendrick, that all made us look so dumb, like seriously, to the whole county, made us look like morons. And that was completely unnecessary because we had a small group of people that didn't really want to hear what she had to say, even though what she had to say is representing the majority in this town. The rest of you on this board need to understand that is Commissioner Hendrick, Commissioner Clausen, they represent the majority. But sadly, that majority doesn't have time to run for a commissioner seat. They don't have time to come to these meetings because they're blue-collar workers. They work long hours. They try to come home, put food on the table, take care of the kids, and rinse and repeat for the next day. They ain't got time for this crap, which is perfectly evident in who's running for commission. 3 people representing the special interests in white collar, and 2 people representing the other side of the majority, the blue-collar workers. The people that we really need to start focusing more on, because not a lot's been done for them. We still haven't done rental rehab. We still haven't tackled much about blight. We still have crap roads. We still have crap sidewalks. Let's come together here, start figuring stuff out to advance everybody forward, not just small.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Laura.
Laura Merchant, 430 South Water Street. I'm here today as president of our Chamber of Commerce, and you heard Stacy speak earlier. Have you ever wanted to ride or take a ride on a tugboat? Well, now is your chance to win. Malcolm Marine has graciously donated a tugboat ride for 2, and all you have to do is purchase a ticket from the Chamber of Commerce, which is located at 480 South Water Street, or online at visitmarinecity.com. Tickets are $20, and they're $20 each, and the winner will be announced at our Splash Bash on June 25th at 3:00 p.m. All proceeds for the sale of these tickets help fund the Chamber so that we can continue to work for our members and bring family-friendly fun to our community. The Chamber strives to positively promote our members and our community and bring awareness to all that Marine City has to offer. Thank you. If you're interested, I have some tonight, and if not, online or through the Chamber office. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, moving on. I need, can I have a motion to approve the City Commission special meeting minutes of May 5th, 2022?
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda. We have the departmental activity reports. We have the Marine City Area Fire Authority Run Report. We have a communications. We have the Community and Economic Development Board meeting minutes of March 23rd, 2022. We have a special event, the Memorial Day Parade, which is taking place, what time is that? Was it 10 o'clock?
10 to noon,
10 to noon,
May 30th.
right on Water Street. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, letters A through E.
Support?
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Heyman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Financial business, can I have a motion to accept the expenditures, including payroll, in the amount of $415,163.17?
Mike, wow. Been a long day. I'll make a motion, we approve expenditures, including payroll, for $415,163.17.
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes?
Commissioner Fredler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And we're on to preliminary financial statements. Can I have a motion to receive and file the preliminary financial statements?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and to support. Any discussion?
You just had one question on page 7 of the revenue and expenditure report,
Okay.
20. The cash in lieu of benefits opt-out thing,
Yeah.
it's listed at 0 right now. Is that because it's only done at the end of the year, or nobody decided to take it? I thought we did have some people that took it.
We did. I don't believe it's done yet.
Okay, or is
But
it,
we
yeah,
will.
it's like only done
Yeah.
at the end of the year, maybe? Okay.
I think
Just-
that's how it's done. It's written. Denise knows exactly when it has to be done.
Okay.
So I believe it's coming up.
Okay.
Yes.
Just checking. That is it. That's the only question I had.
Anybody else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to unfinished business. We need to clarify the procedure for the appointment for the 300 Broadway Committee. So I need a motion to clarify that the Planning Commission, the Historic Commission,
No.
what?
No, PC's not on that.
What's not on there? The planning?
No.
Correct.
Oh,
That's only 4 then.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
No. Historical, CED, Chamber, Friends of City Hall, a commissioner,
Oh, that's what I'm missing.
and 2 public applications.
All right, so a motion to clarify that the Community Economic Development Board, Historical Commission, City Commission, Chamber of Commerce, Friends of City Hall, and two, yeah, right, will individually nominate and approve their chosen member, that's the first, to serve on 300 Broadway Committee, right? Okay. And then once that committee is formed, then they choose out of the, whoever, anybody that wants to go from the
From the
public to,
applications.
right, okay.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful. You want me to say it again?
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. I'm good.
My only question is, does the commission approve these like we do all the other boards?
So I would like to recommend no. And the reason being is, I don't know why they would. Each individual committee is choosing the person that, one, has the expertise, the time, the want to sit on this committee. And the 2 applications that come in are going to be chosen by the 5 that are from the other committees. Really, that board should be slightly autonomous from this commission, because they're going to be looking at plans and directives that will ultimately come to this commission for final approval. So I don't really know why you would need that. It's just another step to kind of slow it down, because these folks are picking themselves internally anyway.
Normally, it's because of the charter. The charter specifies that we're supposed to be approving these, especially when they have a 2-year term and then the 2-year term's up. And usually, we approve all board members, and then the board continues.
But I guess
a
my
charter
point is
issue.
if-
This isn't a board, though, it's a committee.
Yeah.
So the charter doesn't apply for that part of it.
Yep.
It talks about standing committees in there.
I agree. I think that each subcommittee, which is the commission, historic commission, they know their people. I mean, they know who's available and yada, yada, yada. So I don't think that has anything to do with us.
I mean, you guys will choose your person as well.
Exactly.
That goes on there.
Exactly. We need to get going on this project.
Exactly.
You know, we can't keep delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. We have to get going on this project, so. Any other discussion?
If we
Yeah.
make a motion, could we make, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but could we make the motion that it would be pending, a legal check of the charter to ensure? Or would that be too much of a delay?
No. You just want to know if what you're doing is inconsistent with the charter.
Correct, yeah.
Well, I mean, we do all other boards, so,
And then once you make that determination, then
Then this would,
we can let
then this would stand.
right, okay.
so one other question about this board. So when this board develops whatever they develop, they're still going to bring all that back to us,
Nothing,
Yes.
this committee has no decision-making authority.
correct?
Has to come here.
Everything comes back, and you guys, I mean, could select your members tonight if you wanted to.
Yeah. I would recommend that you do, to be honest with you. I'm gonna recommend at the, any further May or June meetings that the other committees are choosing their person. So that we can start that 5-member going with the application process.
Right. Okay,
So you had a motion and you,
I support with that addendum that you checked.
okay, we have a motion and support, correct?
Yep.
yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kreidler,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
No.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So do we want to pick somebody? Want to do that right now?
I-
Get it done?
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that Brian Ross sit on the, on the committee, as he has been instrumental in sitting in the work group for deciding what the disposition of that property is recommended to be. And you do have, obviously, a little bit of experience with antique homes, so if you're willing.
And it's right down the street.
Sure, yes, I'd be willing.
You can walk
There's-
there.
If there's support.
I second. So do I have to do a roll call vote for that?
Discussion and then a vote.
Any discussion for nominating Brian Ross?
I think it's a great choice.
Thank you, John Kreidler. Anyone else? Do I do a roll call vote? Or is just a yes, roll call vote?
Yay, nay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you,
You're
Brian, for
welcome.
volunteering once
Don't
again.
thank me yet.
Let's go to new business. The resolution to recognize 300 Broadway as Heritage Square Park. So I think that we were talking about this. I think that we should table this until we reevaluate the master plan, which is actually going to be later this year anyway. Yeah,
We do have to address the master plan this year.
yeah. And plus, we already voted on this.
But it's a resolution. So you're tabling the whole thing?
I mean, to be fair, it is a resolution to add it back to the master plan. So if it, as such, when we do the master plan, we'll have the resolution to legitimize its re-addition. I mean, it's, again, it's up to the commission, but it makes sense to me. That's just my opinion.
So why are we waiting? I guess, I'm just curious.
Can you address this?
Well, I think, so from what I gathered, the Historical Commission's intent was to send this up to the commission to let them know that they are interested in having park put back into the master plan. So
As a
this
park.
is-
As
As
a
a park,
park.
correct. But that's something that this commission had voted a while back to remove. So you're readdressing the master plan issue per se, and we are readdressing the master plan this year as it is up for a rewrite or edit, whatever we want to do with it this year. So if you want to back burner this concept to tag along with the actual master plan rewrite, that might be more timely, because that's exactly what it's talking about.
But if we do it now, it'll be all ready to go when the master plan gets updated.
There's no reason you can't do it now.
Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, if you want to vote to put park
I
back
don't-
into the master plan, that's your opinion.
Yeah, I don't see why we should wait for that.
But we already voted to, this doesn't make any sense to me. We already voted to take the park out.
And by resolution, we're,
Putting it
The
back.
historical commission is asking you to put it back in.
Put it back.
By virtue of approving the previous master plan, correct, it was taken out. Although, to be fair, the master plan of record on the website still has the park. But, anyway, agreed, Cheryl, that's,
yeah, that's exactly
you
what's
did vote to
happening.
remove
Okay.
it. The historical commission would like to vote to reinstate it. And when we do the master plan, if you say there's nothing wrong with it,
It'll be ready.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, then I
Roll
need,
call or?
This would be a roll call vote, please.
well, do I need?
Do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
said-
we have
I
a motion
said
to
to
table
table
it, so we
it, so
need
I
to
need
vote
to
that
vote.
now.
No, we don't.
No, we didn't have a second.
We didn't really get a second on it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 10-2022, requesting that 300 Broadway be an heritage, that the city block known as 300 Broadway Street be recognized as Heritage Square Park and be added back into the Marine City Master Plan in its next revision. Wow, I cannot speak.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Mayor Kamen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now on to ordinance number 22-02, blight prevention, which is the first reading discussion. Can I have a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 22-02 for blight prevention?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support and discussion.
I have a few things with this one. First, real quick, a couple typos. Under your, sorry, sorry to steal your thunder. Under the definitions section, on letters A and B, it references subsection G. I think that should be subsection I.
Okay.
So now that we got that out of the way, this really puts me in a weird spot. I have some reservations about this. Part of me doesn't like adding more government overreach onto trying to tell people what to do with their own property. That really kind of bothers me, but at the same time, you have properties that if they are vacant, not being used, it not only affects their property values, but their neighbors' property values, which is an impact to your fellow citizens, which I believe we do need to address. So I'm kind of in a weird spot here. Having said that, I would have two requests, or at least food for thought we can discuss. The first is, before we were to actually go forth and start levying fees, I would request that there be a 90-day grace period between when this is implemented and when we actually start saying you owe a fee for your building, etc. That way people have an opportunity to do something with their building before they get smacked with a financial fee.
So it's set for August of August of this year,
So if you,
effective date. So
so-
you would want 90 days plus 90.
I would say 90 from whenever this is enacted, assuming it does get. And then in that time frame, I would suggest that the city, if we know of properties that might fit in, get hit by this, maybe they send them a notice saying, hey, your property may be impacted by this ordinance. Come and talk to us. Let's figure out what's going on before they, because not everyone watches the meetings, not everyone looks at minutes, so that way no one can, no one's getting blindsided. And then, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes.
I want to know, we do have the property maintenance code, don't we? We adopted with the building code. The only thing you're adding to this is fees. Fines.
This is a little bit stricter. It's a little bit stricter than that code, simply because it's not just about the vacant buildings, it's also about people the misuse of them. So they may be vacant of what the intent was for that building, and for instance, there's a few that are being used as like a storage building for the owner's garbage. And so this just takes it a little bit farther to help light the fire, because I'll be honest, I've been here 9 months now, and I have seen the building department and our Blight code enforcer work heavily with the admin staff to reach out to some of these vacant buildings and find out, what is your intent? Why, what can we do? Why aren't you paying your bills? What's going on? And nothing happens. Some of them to the extent, we don't even have proper addresses. The county doesn't even have proper addresses for some of these to send taxes to. Those properties are just going to continue to get debilitated to the point they end up in dangerous buildings. I've reached out to a couple other communities around the state of Michigan who have done this ordinance, and I asked what their opinion was on it. How did it work for them? And they said really well. And it's something that they've actually phased out. After it lights the fire and you start to figure, the town realizes that you are serious about blight, you are trying to clean these things up, and people become proactive, it is something that you can phase out once you eliminate the problem. But our problem is going the wrong direction right now with vacant buildings, and we need to do something. This just forces people to either decide, I'm gonna fill it with a tenant, or I'm gonna sell it to somebody who is. I'm just not gonna let it sit here and rot. And it's one of the methods that we thought would help us with our blight problem, specifically for commercial buildings that were sitting vacant or being misused in the zone for which it's zoned for. So it does take into account the building code that you're talking about, Commissioner Clausen, but it takes it a step further. And it does fine them. Incremental fines get larger with lack of payment and lack of action.
Yeah. Because I will tell you that out of all the things that, people say to me, like when I'm out and about, it's the what are we going to do about these vacant buildings? And what concerns me is that, you don't know what's inside them.
Right.
I know that, I think, because you can't see inside the building, but I was told that there's cars in somebody's building, and well, is there gas in those cars? Is it, going to start a fire? There are people living next door and up, and these buildings are close together. They're like almost attached,
Right.
And you worry about stuff like that.
Yeah.
It becomes a safety issue as well, so. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got a couple things.
Go ahead.
All right. So I went through the dangerous building and the blight, and we do cover industrial, commercial, we cover a lot of this. The numbering is off on this one. You're gonna have to fix the numbering. The numbering is the same on every section, which it should not be. If you look at these, it incrementally, the last three numbers go for each section. So that needs to be corrected. But I think this I understand what you're trying to do in one way, but I think we're covering it in the other way. So what I don't want to see is that this one is fighting this ordinance, you know what I'm saying? Because says in here what has to be done. It already says about rules, it already says about commercial, industrial, what they're putting in here, what they can have in here. So my concern is that we're kind of overdoing it, and basically what you're trying to do is a fee schedule. Now, my other concern, I have the same concern as Mr. Bryson on this one, with the fees too, because we're getting into a real scary time right now. And if we start getting into a deeper recession, we have to worry that we could have a lot of building. And I don't see faulting a person because they can't get somebody to rent the building. So we need to have some clarification so that we're not just nailing them because it's vacant. If they can't find anybody to rent the building and they keep the building in good shape, we shouldn't have to hit them with a fee every month just because they can't get somebody to rent it. I mean, that's a concern. And we could get big time in here. But I still think,
Commissioner, there's items in here to, if you prove that certain things are happening, like you are actively trying to sell, things like that, that they can bring to us so that we aren't hitting them with fees. If they can prove to us that they're trying to do right by the property, those exceptions are in here.
yeah, well,
Section 5E.
so, but my thing is, why don't we update these to include this? So that you're.
The other ones didn't go far enough. And so this one took it to the next level, really focusing on the vacant commercial buildings. The other ordinance just didn't go far enough, and we did not, we looked at them. I mean, we went through them. Planning Commission went through this multiple meetings. Our attorney has gone through this. The CED board looked at this. And like I said, multiple communities around the state have done this to go after this specific thing. It doesn't make anything else irrelevant in our ordinances. This just kind of hones in on this particular zone, the commercial buildings.
So.
Wade Trim looked at it too.
Yes,
Yes.
they did.
Yes, so
Yes.
there's your professional.
Did they look at it compared to these, though? All
Yes.
I'm saying is, I
Yes,
want to
they
make
did.
sure it's not,
Wade Trim was my very
Stepping on
first
toes.
call on this, actually, and Adam did do the comparison. And really, all we'd have to do, and it doesn't harm this ordinance by any means, but the ordinance that is in front of it, it references a vacant building, but we can, if that makes people uncomfortable, we can go in and remove the vacant building under D or whatever it is. It doesn't have the same type of teeth this does. That's why we wanted to elaborate with this, its own ordinance.
the Blight one covers all that. Unmaintained vacant buildings, blighted
The
structures.
problem was, though, is some of the buildings, for instance, aren't necessarily that blighted on the outside.
Yeah.
But we know that they're using it for a different
Yeah.
use indoors. For instance.
The guy on Broadway.
Yes, so for instance, the building over by the meat market
Yep.
that has the washed windows.
Yep.
It's not a blighted building, so we can't go after them from that angle. However, because the windows are washed, we know that something's going on in there, but we can't, our code enforcer can't make the call from the street. Otherwise, they'd have to go on the property and potentially trespass to know exactly what's going on in there. But we know something is not, we know there's things in there that shouldn't be. It's the wrong use. We're using it as storage. So this gives the city the other tool to make sure that the proper use is being done in the proper zone.
So Lisa,
If the code enforcement guy cannot get in, he has the right to enter, doesn't have the right to enter it. And if they refuse, it's in the ordinance that he can go to the courts and get an injunction to go in the building.
if he has a basis.
Right.
So the origin of this ordinance scheme, which is quite popular in Michigan, is that when, in predominantly downtown, commercially developed areas, somebody goes out of business, and instead of, the building's not subject to blight, it's not a problem from a blight standpoint, but what the owner does is conducts a different use that's not allowed in the zoning district, while his building isn't being rented for its intended purpose. And that's what's happening in your community a little bit right now, is some of the buildings that aren't functioning for their intended purpose are being used for purposes that aren't allowed in that zoning category. for example, storage and whatnot. So maybe somebody has another business, but now they're gonna warehouse their goods. So you're not getting the benefit of having a new business. You have just a storage facility going on where you should have a commercial, vibrant business. And that's what's happening, and it's a safety issue as well for your community, is the public safety folks don't know what's going on in some of these buildings, although there's things going on in some of these buildings.
Right.
So that was the origin of these ordinance schemes. So the reason you see the money factor, and I think you're on the good 90-day, that makes some sense to me. But it's the, okay, it's gonna be a little bit of pay to play now. If this is the way I'm gonna go, I'm gonna have to start paying a fee to do what I'm doing here. And Lisa, and some of them, we can't go after them for blight, because it's really not blight.
Right,
It's misuse.
Right.
So you have zoning issues.
yeah.
Well, it becomes a zoning issue.
Yeah.
It becomes an inappropriate use for the building in the zoning category, yes, it becomes a zoning issue. But the money is supposed to, and has worked in other communities, incentivizes the owner to get the thing back in progress. That, just giving you some backdrop.
I'm just, like I said, I'm just concerned long-term that if we get into a situation where we have a lot of these buildings and people can't put things, I don't want them to be charged
I mean, I think
monthly.
Joe, there were some extensive discussions about making sure there were ample exceptions for people who are trying. This is not, what happens is the person stops trying and just
Yeah.
starts doing a different use. A personal use, I mean, before you know it, lawn equipment and, weed whackers are stored in there because I'll just store them there, and then I'm not so worried anymore, because there's no incentive to make me do anything to get this back into a functional use. And this money, it's not significant, but it does add up over time.
Yeah,
It's supposed to provide a little kickstart.
yeah.
So,
If they walk away with the property, walk away from the property, and then who gets it? The city? And I believe there's 2 in town that have environmental problems, and they're vacant.
In the form of mold or asbestos?
No, hoists and oils, because they did maintenance stuff in there. And as long as you still got that in the ground, you got a problem. Banks won't give you a loan. It's a whole bunch of problems there. I believe we have 2 of them in town.
Anyways, that just gives you some backdrop.
When you get a court order, you go in there and get it removed.
I think the thing that concerns me the most is, like I'd mentioned, when we don't know what's in these buildings, and if there's any combustible, flammable, anything like that, and they are butting up against places where people live, we had that big fire on Broadway, and it took that building down very quickly. Not that this was anything like this, but I'm just saying these older buildings go up like a matchstick, so,
Right.
anyway.
And if we're gonna make blight a priority, which is something that has been on my list, that
Yep.
I've been talking with the planning commission about, and to you guys, that it's very important for everybody in this community
It's a
that
big
we tackle
concern.
blight. This just puts another tool in our toolbox to be able to do this.
Yep.
so let me ask you this, how many, approximately, do you have an idea of how many buildings you're talking?
We do have a list. I don't have it on me tonight, but yes, we do have a list of the vacant buildings that we also know, because the water's turned off too, that are completely vacant, or we can tell by some of the utilities that it's not, the utility may not be off, but we know they're not using it for really anything based on their numbers, or just we walk by, we see. But yes, we do have a list.
Okay, so are we going to add more? I mean, I know right now our guy is stretched thin because we don't offer a lot of hours, so how are we gonna accomplish all this too? That's my
Well, the initial administration of it, the notifications, the getting things up off the ground, that'll be handled by the admin staff in the office. And we've already been talking about how we're gonna track it in the BSNA system, and it'll be tracked through the code enforcement section, and everything will be tagged to the address, so that we can track it and go in and run reports to find out where we are and everything. So we've been talking internally how we can administratively handle it.
I do think that this is, it does segue a little bit into a much larger discussion about our code enforcement section, and obviously you have the rental inspection programs that we haven't been doing much of lately, that I think we as a board need to have a whole separate line item on a future meeting to really get into that piece of it and how we can buttress our, building and code enforcement. And this would be a piece of it, but it's not all of the whole problem.
A good start.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Something, yes.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 22-0 to the blight prevention?
We have a
We-
We
motion.
did this
We already
already.
have the
We
motion.
were discussing.
Did we have a second on that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right, sorry.
But-
Roll call vote, please.
Well,
Well, do we want to add it?
do we want to make sure all the corrections?
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Then you got to redo the motion.
No, we'll just bring it,
Just-
when we bring it back for the second reading, we'll have all these
Yeah,
changes.
Yep, I've got
yeah,
it.
this-
The numbering and
So
the,
it's right.
Yeah,
okay.
It'll come back again.
Numbering
We
Okay.
don't usually
G to
focus
I.
on that
Yep.
for first reading, but
and the
right.
90 days.
yes,
Yep.
and you got the numbering?
yes.
Okay.
Got it.
So when it comes back for second reading, those changes will be
Do I need a roll call vote for what we just did?
for the first reading?
Yes.
For accepting the first reading.
Let's do a roll call.
Yes. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
All right. Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes, as amended.
Mayor McKimmon.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. School Resource Officer Agreement. Can I have a motion to approve the School Resource Officer Agreement as drafted between the city and East China School District?
I'll make a motion, we approve the school resource officer agreement as presented between the City of Marine City and the East China School District.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. It says on page 1 here in section 4 that there's supposed to be an exhibit here, and there's no exhibit. The exhibit to this agreement should be included.
Job description.
Yeah, the job description. Anything? Okay.
Come on,
Does this cover, I noticed a couple spots in here where it talks about, emergency use and other things. Are you gonna have enough in your overtime in the event this goes over the 8-hour schedule?
Yes, I believe it states right in there that if officers are there for overtime, that it's responsibility of the school district to pay it.
Yep.
So if they request an officer for a special event, high-end basketball game, whatever, that the school district would be responsible to pay that overtime fee.
That's it?
The district has agreed to?
Yes.
To that,
Yeah,
okay.
I met with the superintendent, Sybula, and she's already signed it. So she's already
Oh.
on board. She had her legal team look at it. I had Mr. Davis review it. The city manager and I reviewed it, and it's what's the final draft before you tonight.
Okay.
And I know Clay Township has been doing this for a few years now, and they've seen tremendous results out of the program. So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
I agree.
Anyone else?
I think it's a big bonus for the city.
Yeah. Thanks,
Really
Chief.
do.
Thanks, Chief.
Agree. All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor McKimmon,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We got the McBride and Manley and Company, contract renewal. So can I have a motion to approve the contract renewal with McBride, Manley and Company, PC, as drafted?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support, discussion?
Yes. So I see on page 6 his, fees. And I looked at the new budget that was just passed, and we're way short. So we have 24,000 listed in there. His new fee, not to exceed 37,250. And there could be some additional, monies there. That's in the second paragraph on page 6. So we're short in our budget.
Right. We got this after, so I didn't have this to do the budget with, so we went based off the prior year numbers. I do think that, this number, and it says that it will not exceed number, that doesn't mean that he's actually gonna go this high. I think that the do not exceed was kind of a one-off from everything that had happened last year with the increase in fees, so it was a safer bet to do it, do not exceed. And I don't anticipate having the same type of issues as last year, so, but I didn't have this number prior to doing the budget, so
Okay.
we had to go on the prior year.
All right. I think you're going to find that you're going to have, it's always hard first year for a new employee that's coming in to try to do an audit, so I think you're going to find it's going to be a little bit more costly than normal just because of that factor.
Anyone else? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And moving to E, the Kayak Launch parking lot paving. Can I have a motion to approve the use of the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Legacy Grant Funds to hire Asphalt Unlimited to pave the Kayak Launch parking lot for the amount not to succeed $8,675?
You're going to have to wait bidding first. These
You already-
are quotes.
He's-
These are 3 quotes, not bids. So you have to waive competitive bidding.
You can make it a two-motion deal, just wait
Yeah,
competitive.
so the first
bidding.
one's going to be waiving competitive bidding, okay.
Don't worry.
All right, so then can I have a motion, we're not going to, to waive competitive bidding and hire Asphalt Unlimited to pave the Kayak Launch parking lot for a not to exceed?
I'll make a motion to waive competitive bidding for the asphalt covering of the Kayak Launch parking lot.
Support.
Discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kreidler?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes?
Mayor Verkaman?
Yep.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, now, I need a motion to approve the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Legacy Grant Fund to hire Asphalt Unlimited to pave the Kayak Launch lot for a not to exceed of $8,675.
Make a motion to have Asphalt Unlimited from New Baltimore pave the Kayak Launch parking lot for an amount of $8,675 using funds from the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Legacy Grant.
Support.
All right, any discussion on that? All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Kreidler?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes?
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, now we got the pilot property group listing agreement about 303 South Water Street. So can I have a motion to approve the listing agreement between the city and Pilot Property Group to list 303 South Water Street for sale for $325,000?
So moved.
We have a motion?
Support in order to discuss. So Pilot, I thought, was the one that was insanely high on some of their estimates. I don't have all of the,
You want the sheet?
sure. I have the sheet in front of me, but they were really, really high. I was, in my own estimates for looking at, weighing everything, I think I had 400. Oh, okay, they were exactly 325, okay. It was Signature Associates, sorry, that was so high. Did we, thank you. When we worked through this, did we have a good comfort zone with them being the best, or, I'm not trying to second guess anybody, I'm just asking.
Oh, sure.
You know,
No.
we can't discuss via email, so we have to do it in
Right.
an open forum.
No, I had, after I had done the original RFP process and gotten, the bids back from the companies, and I walked through everything. Pilot came out, was one of the companies that did physically come out, walk the property with
Okay.
me. Even after, I mean, it had been months that we had gone through the work group process, there was two companies, Pilot and
Signature
Friedman.
was the crazy.
It was Friedman, I believe,
Okay.
and Pilot were the two who actually did continue to correspond with me
Okay.
about bi-weekly, asking how progress was going, talking to me about the market. Their follow-through was impressive. I talked to them after the fact, and then I know that they've also listed property in Marine City in the past for commercial property, so they're familiar with the area. So that gave me an extra comfort level. And then their pricing ultimately, where they fell on the price list for us, was kind of the final straw that I thought that they made the most sense for us. So that you guys had asked that I bring the contract back when I have it. I will say the only outline piece, but we wanted to get this piece done so we can get the sign in the window. I'm working with PCE on the survey of the property, just so that component can happen. But Anthony, excuse me, from Pilot said that that can come secondary to this. They just want to get the listing, get the sign in front of it, and then the survey details can come.
Okay, and the survey is specific to the remapping it so that it,
Exactly,
Keeps the
pulling it
park.
out, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that it's
So we know
legally
what- So we
binding.
know what we're
Yes.
selling.
Correct.
Exactly,
We know exactly what we're selling.
yeah.
I mean, if you take the lot as it is right now, it's the whole thing watered up.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're rebounding it. Okay.
So is the city giving property with it? Or you don't know yet?
So on the building from the north and the south side is nothing more than the building itself. There will be allowed in the real estate agreement that there will be a lifetime easement, like if they need to bring scaffolding in to work on the roof or something like that, they can do that. With permission from the city, so we know that their trucks aren't driving on our infrastructure or something like that.
Which
But
there is, right there.
Exactly, there
They
is.
have- They have to
And-
give us notice as well.
Yes, so that the correspondence would be through. So where we are adding property is off the back, so the east side of it, we have drawn it out, and we believe we can go about 20 feet to the east, which still gives us ample room to get around, people to take pictures near the anchor, but it would allow for, you know, them to put up a deck or do something on that side of the property and utilize the view without encroaching on our park area that we are gonna continue to maintain. So I think it was 20 or 25 feet. Like I said, PCE's drawing it out and we'll secure that number, but it was no more than that.
Yeah.
Are you putting this ordinance about the view? Because in 1930, states from Ribbon Corner already ruled on site view. They don't abut water, so they don't have a view.
This is true.
I don't know.
What Bill is concerned with is the city going to give them any sort of guarantee that we're not gonna, you know, construct the?
No.
Well, sure, yes, you say that, but I'm just suggesting, and I think Bill is too, that we perhaps put something in the contract that suggests that the city promises not to construct anything that would obstruct their view, or, I mean,
I could
It is
definitely talk to them about what makes sense to put in, and if
Okay.
if a buyer comes forward and is concerned about that, then yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's our park. We already
yeah,
have
we don't
a
want a big
lighthouse,
structure there,
yes.
right? Yeah, exactly.
I
And we
can't-
want the lighthouse, obviously.
Exactly. We're not gonna put
Like
another one up to block
Down
it.
there, like they bring the big ships in, you know what I mean?
All the tall
So-
ships, right.
So if you put something in front of them and say, you can't, we're blocking the view,
Mm-hmm.
and you allow them to, you know, that's a river.
Yeah, but that's temporary though, to bring in a tall ship.
Right, but I'm saying at the
But I get what
time,
you're saying.
they're blocking a view.
Yep.
It's a beautiful view. It's a tall ship.
It's a
Right.
tall ship, yeah.
I want to see,
That's
I
a
would go
really
to the
valid
restaurant
view.
to see
Well, it
that.
depends on how you look at it. If you're not.
I know.
Don't have the right to go the water.
Are we putting any other type of conditions on the property as far as the building goes? Because it is a historic building. I know people are concerned about them tearing it down and putting up a giant structure there, or we talked about this a long time ago, that there's possibility we could put in conditions. Has that been tossed around?
It hasn't, because once somebody else buys it, the only conditions that they have to adhere to are zoning, and our zoning ordinances for Water Street are pretty strict on what you can and cannot do. But no, once somebody else owns it, we can't really tell them, other than our ordinances, what they can and cannot do for the restriction. And that building does not have any historical designation, so we can't demand that.
Okay, so they could tear it down tomorrow and build up a big 3-story condo there if they want to.
Within our zoning ordinances, and I
Don't think that would be allowed.
don't know if that's
They put storefronts
permitted.
on the first floor and they put condos upstairs like everybody else has done, it would be. I mean, let's face it.
So, I mean, technically, yeah, I
But
mean,
it's very small, I mean,
the
Well,
it's not
footprint,
that big.
But people try to cram
Small.
what they can in there. The one that's gonna go in next to the hotel, that's not a very big lot either. I mean, on page 2, another 8, they have township. Can you have them correct that to city?
City. It's right here, I think it's on.
I don't see it. Where'd you see it at, Lisa?
Section, number
It's
8
number
on
8.
page 2, all the way to the end.
Thank
They just
you.
use town.
First, so Lisa, it's not complete yet, but it's something that I was attempting to start in the planning commission years ago when I was serving on that commission, to make I had actually sent you some of the things that I had discussed with SHPO, and I felt everything that they had presented to us was far too stringent, and you agreed. The one thing that did make sense was to just make a list of historically contributing properties. To have that list be entered within the nautical mile district, verbiage in the nautical mile, the part of our ordinance that creates the nautical mile district, and just let them know that we see this as a historically contributing building, and it at least gives a little bit of teeth to say that we see this as valuing that that particular structure is there, you know, and we will be against any efforts to raise it, so. That is something that, and Friends of City Hall promised help on that. I mean, it's, again, only nautical mile district stuff for now, but, because, you know, again, we don't want to be overly, we don't tell people what windows they have to put in and stuff like that,
Right.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
But,
Mackinac
you know,
Island.
to at least say like, look, we value this building as a historic structure, please, you know, take care of it. I'm biased, because I try to take care of mine, but, anyway. To set your mind at ease at least a little bit, that is in the works.
right. Okay, we have anybody else for discussion? Okay, we have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
No.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Cardler?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And moving on to the city manager's report. How many
Okay,
pages this time?
big enough. I'm gonna start with, first that's not on here. I do want to report that, the only not-so-good thing for my report today is I did receive the resignation for the new treasurer this morning. So I will be moving on to my number 2 candidate and continuing those interviews to hopefully fill that position ASAP. On to the positive things. We do have, I want to make an announcement today, we did get a resignation, not a resignation, but not somebody re-upping their application for the planning commission. They're not gonna serve another term, so there is a vacancy on the planning commission if anybody wants to put in an application. We welcome new blood and exciting people who want to see positive change. I received an offer on the Bruce Street property today So I was going to speak to that. Commissioner Bryson had asked me about it, and you must have been sending good vibes out into the world because we got an offer today. It is a full price offer with a caveat regarding the alley behind it, which we are looking into. So it's not teed up and ready to bring to you yet, but we're very close. So that's exciting. I know there's a lot of discussion out there about the 26-mile corridor concept and the studies that are going on regarding. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about where we are in the process, what it entails, where Marine City falls into the big picture of all of this. I'd like to encourage people, there is a meeting on June 29th at 6 p.m. at the Lions Club. It is organized by Dave Struck and the county's Metropolitan Planning Commission. It is a public input meeting, so this is exactly what everybody wants to start going to when you see these. This is where your voices will be heard. This is where you'll hear the facts from the stakeholders, not random things on Facebook or something like that. This is going to be from the stakeholders presenting information and sharing of ideas and listening to what residents want, don't want, business owners want, don't want. They're very positive and will help everybody move forward through the process. So put that on your calendars. I think it's an important one. I have spent a lot of time in the last few weeks driving town, looking at different ordinances, looking at things that we can change to help make the city move forward in a positive way with bringing new businesses in, looking at blight, things that just need to get shaken up a little bit. And it goes back to the discussion of the vacant buildings and things like that. So I spent some time had some conversations with the EDA, and I've reached out to multiple companies to try to let them know where we are and put Marine City on the map, and that we have vacant building availability and they should come look at us. I've gone so far as to send latitude and longitude GIS coordinates to their corporate to say, here's the building, check it out. So I have reached out to Aldi, I've reached out to Big Lots, Wendy's, A&W, Burger King, Taco Bell, and Culver's. I have had some very positive reception from some of these companies, and they are putting me in contact with some of their real estate departments within. I'm choosy about who I'm reaching out to because I don't want to reach out to companies that may compete in a negative way against the businesses that already exist here. I think we need to be strategic about it, but I think we need to be proactive in trying to fill these businesses, bring jobs to the community, bring assets to the community where somebody doesn't have to drive, the 13 miles out to Meyer. They can go downtown and help support our own local businesses. So I want people to know that I'm trying to be very proactive with that. Then just some of the other things, we're moving forward. I've been working with Adam Young. We're moving forward on the zoning maps. That's in his hands right now. That'll go back to Planning Commission once we get his draft. Again, we drove town with the mayor, making notes, dropping in on business owners, finding out what's going on in some of the businesses that are doing renovations, meeting people, sitting down with some of the stakeholders, future developers in town. We've been very proactive in this, and I hope that the feeling of support from the administration and from the city offices kind of resonates with the folks a little bit, that they know that our support is here for future development and future them spending their money here, them wanting to spend their money here, them wanting to stay here. And so I've been proactive with those type of things. And then I'm gearing up to work with the Planning Commission on the master plan. We've already teed up and are ready we found some grant money to go after to pay for us to get our grant or to work on our master plan. So hopefully we can go after something a little bigger and better than we've done in the past with just going through the county. So we've been out searching for grant money for different things too. So we're busy. And then we started union negotiations this week as well for some wage openers for POAM, and Teamsters is teed up, I think, in 2 weeks. So we're busy, but it's good stuff. This is the stuff I'm kind of glad the budget's done now, and we can focus on some of the more fun things that benefit the community and the residents and business owners that live here. So,
Very good. Any questions for the city manager?
Yeah, I got a couple. I know we said the water line, or the water tower's gonna be off 10 days. I understand it went a lot longer.
it did.
So what happened?
There was problems with supply. There was things that, I wish Mike was here, he can speak to it a lot better. He wasn't feeling good this afternoon. But supply was part of it. Getting the product here, I believe the pipe insert that went in was a big delay,
Okay.
big delay.
Is it finished?
It is, it went all back up online today.
Okay, all right, that one's done. The next thing is the city gonna stop doing tape recordings of the meetings?
So I'm gonna default to the clerk on this since that's her department,
Okay.
and she can speak to that.
Yes, I am no longer using the little tape recorder that we were previously using. It malfunctioned at 2 of the meetings, and it's not a piece of technology that's needed at this point. The tape recorder was being used as a tool by the clerk's department and by the deputy clerk to record the meetings to make sure that we were getting our minutes. We are doing that without the tape recorder. She doesn't listen to it, I don't listen to it, so it's not a tool that's no longer, it's a tool that's no longer needed.
So if there's any controversy or corrections, how are we gonna know without having that tool?
I take sufficient notes, and so does Michelle.
You know, you can do an app on a phone and tape just as well. I have some concerns about this because there's a lot of people that like to hear what really goes on. I know you can only put so much in the minutes. And those recordings are absolutely necessary for a lot of people to listen to, including people that have disabilities.
Well, the recordings are not publicized anywhere, they're not put out there anywhere. The only time that anybody happens to get a recording is the occasional FOIA that we may get.
Correct.
So, and again, that's an occasional thing, it's not something that we need to do. Any member of the public is allowed to record the meetings, either they can do audio recordings, they can do video recordings. Any member of the commission can start their phone and record meetings if they happen to attend
we're
or if
televised.
they're on the board.
We're
These meetings are
televised.
televised.
This one is televised, but we have a lot of other meetings that people can't attend and they want to hear what really goes on. Either we need to utilize the equipment we have, which we have tons of equipment now, or we should have some way for them to do it because when you have people that have disabilities and they can't see or they can't hear things, there's got to be a way for them to listen to what a meeting is. They can't always attend. We've always done them, and I know some people say, oh, you've always done it. But those are really critical in the event, first off, like the incident we had where I asked you to qualify a vote, which you needed to go back.
I didn't go back. I did not go back and listen to that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I did not go back and listen to that. I remembered what you said.
So
and it
then
was
you
in my
didn't put
notes.
my information in the minutes, which is not correct.
It was in my notes. I didn't happen to put it in the minutes at that time because I didn't feel.
But we have a
comfortable
clause
every
in the
single
city
vote.
commission's rules that we can make a statement and then we can request that that be put in verbatim.
And I did amend your statement.
How could you do that 2 weeks later or a month later without knowing what I
Because
said?
I take sufficient notes.
Well, I just
And there's
think that
nothing- I
doing the
apologize.
extra recording isn't killing anybody, and I just think, I know people that request them, and they like to hear the exact, what the exact conversations are, not just,
Well, and there's nothing in the Open Meetings Act that requires
understand
us
that.
to create an audio or video recording.
but we want to be open and with the public.
We are open.
We want the public to listen to what they want to hear. Again, this is for the public, not, we're sitting here, fine.
Which is the
But
whole
the
reason that.
public, you know,
Can I add something to the video or not the video, the tape recording? Like the clerk said, it's really, it was simply a tool for them to help them with their minute taking.
Sure.
So if she takes 13 pages of notes and then she consolidates her notes down to what we see for our actual minutes that are presented, she has all of the details to refer back to. I'm leery of the audio recordings sometimes too because sometimes they do stop. They're not reliable. You're picking up conversations that happen out here. I'm picking up, what we had for lunch over here. We're having, I do sit next to the attorney. If that picks up an attorney-client conversation down here, that can't be FOIA'd. There's a lot of negative things that can actually come out of it when it was merely, the intent was merely just a tool to help them write.
First off, if you're,
So,
first off, when we're up here, we're not supposed to be conversing privately,
you're not supposed to, but it happens.
but it shouldn't. So all I'm
But it-
saying is because
but it
it's a
happens.
public meeting. It's a public meeting. Everything has to be done in public. So
Yeah.
technically, if you're having a conversation with our attorney and you're doing that off to the side, that's technically a violation of the Open Meetings Act, okay? So that's where you gotta be careful. So all I'm saying is, these recordings are very important to the people in the community. I mean, I can't force anybody to do it, but I think the city's making a really, really big mistake by not allowing people to hear what happens at the meeting on their own and then formulating and listening to what happened in a conversation.
Then what's the purpose of taking minutes, if I might ask? What's the purpose of
But look
having
at the minutes.
document?
If you
I
look at the
mean,
minutes from the, we'll give one example. If you look at the minutes from the budget meeting, now that was a 3-hour meeting, and it was a long one. And if I look at those meetings, hardly anything that I asked was in those minutes. Whereas if you watch the actual video, which I had somebody come and do and post it, because the city didn't do that one, people could actually see and hear the whole conversation. That's very important to them on a budget.
And I can understand that. However, I reviewed the Open Meetings Act, and I also reviewed the action that the city took in regards to the clerk and the minutes, because I know this was a problem before I was even here. And that action, that resolution, I don't have it with me. I had it prepared for the next meeting, because I expected it to come up then. That actually, or that action that was taken, that motion that was taken, indicated that the minutes were to be a summary from the clerk's perspective of what the notes were, what was taken. So, again, if that's what was voted on, if that's what was agreed upon, then I don't see the purpose of having to run a separate recorder. It captures the essence of what the business was that was conducted. And it even goes further than what the Open Meetings Act required, because the Open Meetings Act doesn't even require there to be a summary.
I understand that.
So.
But what would
just-
really be nice is if the city videotaped all of our meetings, since we do have this equipment, so people could see our meetings. And then we wouldn't have to worry about whether the minutes are correct or not correct, or we missed something, or somebody said they voted no and they voted yes, and you can't go back and look at it. Those recordings are very important to the people in the community. They really are.
Well,
And to have that equipment in there and just turn it on, what's the big deal? I mean, it's not a big deal. I could start doing it, I guess, if I have to. I'll start recording all this stuff for the public, and I guess I'll start putting it out for the public. But I think it's a shame that the city's not willing to do it, since we've done it for a long time. But that was always so that we could provide that information to the people in the public when they wanted to hear it, when they could not attend a meeting.
See, and that's not the way it was explained to me at all when I took this position, is that the recorder was run for the purpose as a tool for the clerk and the deputy clerk to be able to capture their minutes. And it's something that we don't refer back to. We don't use it. We don't listen to the recordings unless we have to.
I understand
because
what
we
you're
receive
saying.
them on
What
a FOIA.
what concerns me is, like you said, we already touched on this, that, you know, if it malfunctions or if it picked up something that it shouldn't have picked up and there's a gap,
Well, if we have to edit it,
and
there's a
then,
gap.
and then all of a
there's gonna
sudden,
be
someone's very suspicious of the
accusations
gap.
Why is there? a
You know,
gap?
it's like we're damned
Yeah.
if we do and we're damned if we don't. So,
It's
if-
happened
as
in
long
the
as we're following the Open Meetings Act, and I think we're,
I just,
anything else?
yes, I have one more thing. The kayak launch, I see we're just putting a mound there, and I know you're putting parking blocks, but shouldn't we have some type of guardrail so somebody doesn't drive into the river right there? We require it at all our street ends, even though there's a few that it's missing, but usually
It's not required at all the street ends per.
It should be.
Conversation.
If
But
you're-
it's not required.
If you have your insurance company, every once in a while, we have the insurance company come out and do risk assessments. And that's a big one, because
Staff
it's
was
easily to
asked
drive
about
in.
that. I specifically asked Mike this question because when I saw the berms going in, and I was instructed that staff did come around town and did let him know that there is no requirement for them to be at all the street ends. The drawings for the kayak launch were all pre-approved, and all had to be pre-approved on multiple levels to even get the Wilson Foundation money. The berm is, I mean, it's twofold. If you've already hopped the curb, the berm isn't, nothing's gonna stop you anyway, but That is for a lot of the water retention and rain garden purpose. So it helps purdy it up too and help with the rain runoff. So that's kind of the purpose of the berm.
Well, luckily, it's not real deep there, so.
Anybody else for the
Yeah,
city
I have a
manager?
question for the
Yep.
city manager.
Go ahead.
I didn't have time to come in the office today because my day is full, but this morning I was asked about the business licenses, and if it's a renewal, are we inspecting them now?
So
Because there's nothing in the ordinance that says that we go in and inspect them for renewal. You've got several businesses in town that have just renewed every year, and there's no inspections. Why are we doing inspections now? Well, for instance, like the bakery, the health department keeps them going, and the bars are the liquor control. So we're adding another fine or another fee?
So the city does, and we are revamping how we're working through the business license. We're working with Tracy on it. Michelle and I have had some discussions about it. We'll have to be working with Chief Slankster on it for some of the inspection piece of it. But we're shifting it to try to make it a little bit more convenient for people. But yes, we are going to include a renewal fee and stuff and send people out to do an inspection of the building, because some people, like you said, have gone years and years and years where they just re-up them and they hadn't been inspected. And I wholeheartily agree, it was run terribly. It has had very little oversight, and that needs to be corrected, because there are things that we're finding. I mean, for instance, the dollar store had every exit covered with multiple giant bins of product. Every door was. If there was a fire in there, those employees didn't have a chance. Things like that. Those are the type of things that the inspectors are going to go in and make sure that they're adhering to. There's fire extinguishers and everything else that is entailed. And we are going to take it seriously going forward. So we're spending the next few months getting everything revamped, the forms rewritten, figuring out exactly how it's all going to work with everybody. And then what we'd like to do is run a calendar year. So your business license will be good from the January to December. So everybody can remember this. It's not going to have to be your renewals on March 3rd, you know, who can remember that? So everybody this year will have the ability to let their business license run through the end of this year. We're going to send letters out to all the businesses in about November, giving them a heads up that the renewal will begin January 1. Their application has to be in before January 1. And then we are working with Tracy on a time frame and how he's going to go out and do the inspections. So we basically wanted to prepare him for, you're going to have 2 months of a little bit of chaos of getting all of your renewals done, but then it's done. And then the only thing throughout the year you'd have is anybody new that came on. But yes, we're going to take this seriously going forward.
There's nothing in the ordinance right now for a fee, except, if I can remember, that it's a one-time fee. It was a large fee, one time, and that was your license.
I think we put it in the fee schedule because we have to pay for the time for them to go out and do it.
But
We have to cover the
but
person.
it's not in the fee schedule for the business license.
Well, she's increasing it, but here's the problem. Your ordinance specifies all the old stuff, and it does not specify inspections, so you would have to revise that ordinance, or else you'll be in non-compliance with your own ordinance.
I'll take a look at it.
It doesn't specify. I went in and took a look at it. It only specifies inspections for initial business licenses, and then after that, there is no inspection. They just re-up, they renew. You have fees in there. So that whole ordinance, if you're going to do that, that whole ordinance is going to have to be rewritten, or else.
I'll take a look at it with Bob.
And the city of New Baltimore, I sign all them off, and we don't go inspections. They renew them, and I sign them off.
You don't do inspections?
Nope.
So, okay.
I'm just saying, I didn't have a chance to get in the office today to find out what was going on. And the person was concerned about does she have to pay a fee now and when she's had it for so many years? So,
That's fair. We just want to make sure everybody's safe, so.
Anybody else for the city manager? All right, moving on to Commissioner privilege. Commissioner Bryson,
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Commissioner Henrik.
I'll just bring up the Lions issue. I know he brought it up for the nighttime, but the 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock farmer's market is still on the same day. So there'll still be one from 9 to 2, and then another one comes in from 3 to 8 the rest of the day. So it's going to be there like all day long for most of the summer. So it's going to be a good addition over there, and should be lots of, I think they have 7 vendors in the day, and they get at least 25 at night. So, and I heard that they might even bring in food trucks. So might be a good little place to go in the evening. That's all I have.
When does it start again, date-wise?
I think it starts next week. Yeah, next Thursday. Every Thursday.
Commissioner Clausen.
no, I have nothing.
Commissioner Kreidler.
I just want to remind people that with the warm weather, I got out on my bike and rode a little bit today, and there's lots of people riding bikes, and it's a good thing to look out for. We have a beautiful place to ride downtown, and a lot of people need to do that because of the gas prices. I see a lot of folks that aren't just working out, they're getting work done, and that's just, this is the time of year to kind of be aware, slow down, take it easy, do all your rush hour traffic in the hour before you get out the door and not on the road. So enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ross.
Thanks to anybody that attended SpongeBob SquarePants the musical. It was really fun, and I wanted to just give big kudos to the parents and staff and teachers, and especially the students, because they just pulled off an absolutely amazing musical. It's really sight to behold. My wife is a physician and wanted everybody to know that COVID numbers are up in the county, so it's highly recommended to mask. The health commissioner recommends this as well, and unfortunately, St. Clair County has elevated levels. And finally, you may not be able to attend a meeting, but all of us commissioners have our email address and a phone number online. Mine is bross@cityofmarincity.org. Please email us and let us know your concerns for the city and, what you think would help or make the city a better place. So I thank you for that, and have a great week.
Thank you. Something was written about me recently that is totally untrue. I have been on city commission for 2 years now, and mayor going on 2 years. So that's 4 years in the public forum. All of a sudden, in an election year, something horrible was written about me from someone I barely knew and haven't seen, spoken to, and had zero contact with in almost 30 years. Why now? I haven't been hiding. My name is constantly in several newspapers. I have a local monthly TV program called The Mayor Minute. I'm on televised public meetings. Why now? I am very suspicious of this, and I hope this person wasn't sought out, because as we all know, anyone's personal information can be viewed or requested as a FOIA. In the May Mayor Minute, I'm interviewing Sherry Faust from the St. Clair County Environmental Health Department. We're going to be talking about the storm drain painting in Marine City. We're going to be talking about the Bridge to Bay trail loop going through downtown. John, you're part of that, aren't you? You had input on that. The Bridge to Bay.
I have plenty of input. We'll keep up on it.
Yep. And there's also an upcoming Sturgeon Festival in Port Huron on June 4th we're going to talk about. I'm also in June going to be interviewing Dave Struck, and that is also on the Mayor Minute. He is the Metropolitan Planning Director that is coming to the Lions Club on June 29th. So if you can't make it to a meeting, you can watch that June issue of the Mayor Minute. and he's going to be discussing the Marine City Highway Corridor Plan all along 26 Mile Road. City Manager Tapman and I drove around our city a few weeks ago, went into construction sites, we went into GARS, we went into a couple other buildings on Water Street. We looked at vacant
Gourds.
property.
Gourds.
Huh?
Gourds.
Gourds. What did I say?
Gars.
Gars. Gourds. I meant to say gourds. We looked at vacant property. We drove numerous city streets. We made notes on various issues. We are brainstorming on what businesses we'd like to see in Marine City that you touched on. And I too called Big Lots and Aldi. Having bigger business in our city is good. It helps lower your water bills and your taxes. It brings more jobs to the area, especially with gas prices. Working locally is good. Congrats to St. Clair and Marine City High School for being voted the best high school in Michigan from the new U.S. News and World Report, beating out nearly 24,000 U.S. public schools. That is a feat. 600 in Michigan alone. When I first became a commissioner 4 years ago, and I first got into politics, a wise local politician person, a political person, told me that there were two kinds of public servants. The first one is the kind that puts their own feelings aside and truly has the best interest of the city and its citizens in mind. The second public servant may start out that way, but they become power hungry and their main goal is to get votes and stay in office. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an election coming up in November where you get to choose the future of our city. We all love the small town atmosphere and that we have, and we cherish it. That's why we live here. When we talk about growth, we're talking about providing services and jobs that enhance the community that we live in. We need to bring in businesses to replace the ones that are no longer here. This helps our taxes and our water bills be manageable. If we have a negative board that drives people and businesses away, I guarantee your taxes and water bills will increase. We keep talking about positivity and moving forward. Well, you get to decide that in November. Are you complaining or contributing? Champions never complain. They're too busy contributing. Complaining never makes anything better. Pay attention to the people who complain a lot, and you'll find that they are probably not leading. Complainers whine about how bad things are while leaders make things better. If you have the time and energy to complain about something, you have the time and energy to change something and contribute. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, or meeting is done at
I told you 8:30.
8:37.